is trauma? We all have something happen in our lives that can turn it completely upside down, whether it be one event or it could be a series of events. It could come from childhood, it may only come from adulthood. But trauma is not only the event itself, it's how we actually deal with that. We are not given the tools, or this has been my experience. So everything I say here is from my experience with some knowledge. So this is just sharing from my lived experience and giving peer support. It's not actually for self-diagnoses. So do go and seek support from a professional, a GP, find a group, go to a psychologist or psychotherapist. Because if we don't deal with the trauma, it will stay in our bodies. I'm Chantal, psychotherapist and Reiki master here at Unfold Your Freedom. Now I wanted just to talk to you about trauma, just to see if it resonates with you. Because if it does, do seek help, as already mentioned. It stays in our bodies, it stays in our minds. We actually don't live the life that we want because we actually feel stuck. Because when we have something traumatic happen to us, it could be a natural disaster, a death of a loved one, divorce, moving homes, moving overseas, children growing up. It could be abuse, assault, rape. There's so many reasons. It's not just about being in the defense force as we used to think. It's not just about being in the emergency services. Trauma can happen to anyone. In addition, it can happen to someone vicariously in that you've experienced it, you've witnessed someone else go through it. It's not just about yourself. But a lot of the issues that come up is that you feel numb, you feel stuck. There's disbelief. It actually shuts you down. It traumatizes you so much that all the resources that you knew, that inner strength that you had, are simply not there anymore. So that can trigger into you feeling shame, embarrassed, don't know where to turn. So what can happen is that you start to withdraw, you start to isolate yourself, you feel irritable, but you actually don't understand what's happening because there's no words there for you. You actually don't even know how to reach out. I know for me that was often my experience. Yes, I had childhood trauma, so I had been dealing with that, and I had a really good life. I was a career woman, I was fulfilling, I was able to self-determine, I was excited, until the first big trauma was my father's death. Now, often we don't take that as a traumatic experience because it is about grief. So I dealt with that with a fantastic grief counsellor. But what we didn't realise later until another big experience happened, that actually PTSD had already been triggered at the time. But I didn't know that. So for 10 years, it took me a while to come back and to still lead a good life. There was still something happening in my body that completely came to the fore when I had a car accident. Now, the car accident in itself wasn't the huge trauma. I was hit from behind, I had severe whiplash, I didn't have huge injuries, I didn't end up in hospital as such. So of course I minimized it. But what I didn't realize was that it had triggered me into this complete state of helplessness, hopelessness. Again, I was really fortunate that I had a fantastic GP who supported me, a wonderful psychologist who was trauma trained. Because it took me a long time to actually understand what was happening in my body. As I said, I no longer had the resources, I was lost and confused, I couldn't get off the couch. I just felt so traumatized, but I didn't fully get it because I was still functioning, but I was not functioning at a higher level. And some of the things I was experiencing, some of the ailments, I didn't actually tie back to the trauma. But over a period of time, I was able to sort of start putting the threads together, piecing it all together. Because we need to make sense of what happened to us, what happened in my life, and why did I have such a big reaction? Then we were able to go back and look at where did that come from. Then I was able to heal slowly but surely. So do leave a comment. Let me know if something is resonating. My story is not your story, but where we come together is that what they call empathy. We share, we talk, we understand, we know we're not alone. Because the big thing is not feeling alone. Because when you feel alone, that is when you withdraw more. That is perhaps when you go and use substances, food, shopping, sex, all these things to support you. But what happens is it's self-fulfilling. You actually never feel fully satisfied because they're not supporting you. In fact, they're just enhancing the experience that you're going through, enhancing that negativity, enhancing the depression you may be feeling. What I came to realize is that I was constantly hypervigilant. I was on alert because that's what happens. You are constantly on alert, you're overlooking your shoulder, you don't know how to be in life again, you startle very easily. And these are some of the things I'll be talking about in the next couple of videos where I'll talk about the emotional symptoms and the physical ones. just to give you an idea that, hey, this might be related to a trauma experience recently, a while ago, or years ago. Because remember, they manifest, they stay in your body. They'll always be there. They'll come out in some way or other, whether it be through physical ailments, emotional, or outbursts. Because part of healing, it's important to reconnect with your body again. Because what happens is we actually step out of our bodies, and that's where we stay. We stay in the fear, the looping, the flashbacks, the negativity, the dreams, the nightmares. We don't feel safe. In fact, we never feel safe. That could be even in your home, you don't feel safe. So from my experience and from things that I've been reading and from learning from other clients, is that we need to learn as well to work on our mindset, absolutely, but to come back into our bodies, to feel safe in our bodies again. So ways you can do that is, I did it with a psychologist. There's MDR, there's also yoga, meditation, Reiki, dance, creativity. So I use creativity as well. That took me a long time to get there because, again, all the old stories came back. But it's a beautiful way of bringing yourself back in the body, because when you're right in the body, when you're here and now, it gives you an idea of safety. And that's all the things that I do on my channel and in my meditations, is teaching you to feel safe again in your body, in your inner world. As you start reconnecting with your body and in your world, you connect your inner strength because you're gaining clarity, understanding. You're realizing that your response, reactions, feelings, emotions are actually normal. It's understandable. And it stops you from comparing yourself from others who you feel might have had something worse. You no longer minimize your experience. You own it, you embrace it. And that's one of the many steps that helps you come back into the life, to live the life on your terms, by your own design, with joy and excitement again. There's nothing more important and special about that, to be able to see yourself unfolding into your freedom. Thank you for watching and giving me the opportunity to be able to share this with you. Leave any comments. If you do feel something resonate, do reach out to someone, a professional, by starting perhaps with your GP. Because in the end, you know deep down, well, this is what I had to trust, that you don't want to stay that way. But only you can take that step and make that change, no one else. So no matter how deep and how far you've gone, this is to give you hope, to give you that little spark of light that you too can come back. It is possible, and it takes time. Remember, you're not alone.